and welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast. I'm April Atmansky, and I'm here today with...
Justin McClue.
And Colin Sugarfoot Cunningham.
Oh, I literally thought that when I said my name, and I'm like, I missed my opportunity.
I know. I wish I had a really, really cool nickname to put in front of my name.
Well, you don't? Well, you're going to find out.
Fists of Fury Atmansky or something like
there
that.
You go.
Well, there is actually a Sugarfoot Cunningham in our first movie.
Oh, I know. And again, that is a really, really great nickname.
It is a great foot. A great foot.
A great foot.
You just chow on down
it's
on
so
that
sweet.
delicious Sugarfoot.
It means that he can kick amazingly like sugar.
Mm-hmm. They call them super kickers.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever hear that? Like, it's actually a term, like a super kicker. If that's your main thing, you go, oh wow, that guy's a really good super kicker.
Really?
So
Yep.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, which should be considered a super kicker.
No, he's a super splitter.
A super splitter,
because
yeah.
he does the splits.
Yeah, it's
anyway.
I feel like Sugarfoot, he got the nickname because people are like, oh man, this tea is too bitter, like Sugarfoot, and then he dips his foot into the tea. It's like,
Needs a little sugar.
Thanks, just the right amount of sugar.
It reminds me of the star of the Blade TV show. What was it? Sticky Fingers?
No.
And, yeah,
good
that's his
too.
name.
No.
And my friend was like, you know why his name is Sticky Fingers? And I'm
Ew.
like, no, why? Because he loves honey. He's always going
like
that honey.
Winnie the Pooh.
Yep.
Of course. So the first movie we watched was Jean-Claude Van Damme's first movie, No Retreat, No Surrender, from 1986.
I guess his first starring role. I mean,
He's in Breakin' in the background. Remember,
That
there's a
doesn't
scene
count.
where well, yeah, he is. He's like right there. He gets a
I
close
can't remember.
Okay,
He's
well-
wearing like a full skin tight outfit.
I haven't seen Break-In, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but I know he got his start in the Canon films, and that's
Yeah.
obviously how he got in there.
Right.
And then they put him, although I don't know if this isn't a Canon movie.
It's not a Canon production. It's a seasonal films production
Right.
by I can't say his name. It's like En Sing Young, who is
Right.
most famous for giving Jackie Chan a shot with Drunken Master and Snake in the Eagle Shadow.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I mean, I don't know all the details, but this is like American
Hong Kong, yeah.
co-production,
Co-production, yeah.
because it has a Hong Kong director. It has a Bruce Lee impersonator. He was
An Asian man, I would say.
He-
Bruce Lee impersonators was stretched.
So okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but the Bruce Lee impersonator was a Bruce Lee. It was his stunt double. It was his double in what's that?
I think it was
movie?
Game of Death.
Game of Death, and then he came back for Game of Death 2, I believe.
I have like 7 better looking Bruceploitation actors.
I know.
I can get
so
you.
I
this
feel like
guy.
I know about Bruceploitation a little bit now because Justin did a whole podcast about it on the Important Cinema Club. He also wrote, or maybe Will, his co-host, wrote an article about it in his book,
Important Cinema Club Journal, available on
Yeah.
Amazon now.
And then during the book launch, his podcast partner did a whole presentation on Bruceploitation people. So I feel like I know a little bit about that. This guy, what is this guy's name? Tong Lung. Sometimes he goes by Long Tang, and he's been in a bunch of these movies as like a Bruce Lee type character.
Right.
So he's in this movie as Bruce Lee. Does not look very much like Bruce Lee.
Wait.
Unfortunately.
If people don't know what this movie is,
Yeah,
they
we're-
are so lost.
We are jumping way
I know.
ahead.
So
Was No Retreat, No Surrender, Colin, like a big part of when you were a teenager? 'Cause
No.
This feels like it was one of those movies that everybody knew. Because when I was a kid, people at my school knew this movie.
I had no idea this existed until about a year ago when my boss was talking to me and he said that he's like, have you ever seen No Retreat, No Surrender?
Oh, you guys got in a fight, and he's like, "No retreat, no surrender." and you're like, "That sounds like a movie."
That's how you heard of it?
Well, yeah, I think he kind of caught wind of it that we were doing the podcast, and he's like, "Oh, you know what you should do is this movie." And I was like, "I know the name, but I hadn't seen it before." And then he was like, gave me the YouTube link, and he's like, "Check it out." And I think we watched it within a week. The first time.
I'm not even sure if that's how it happened because I thought I heard about it on another podcast. As I listened to a very, very old episode of another podcast called We Hate Movies, and I was like, this sounds hilarious. I want to watch it. And then we found it on YouTube. So maybe they both coincided. I'm not sure. But I would assume that this is like a Karate Kid, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's a
ripoff.
Karate Kid ripoff.
You know,
in that wave
capitalizing.
where you got stuff like, I just watched one. This is like a Billy Blanks Karate Kid ripoff where he plays a janitor that I think it's called Showdown, and he teaches a kid at school how to do Karate Kid type stuff. I mean, this is a Karate Kid ripoff.
Does he
if,
use a
like
mop?
it went. Yes, he does. It went through like 10 auto translates where they're like, wait, the Karate Kid doesn't even really fight anyone at the end, like any real villain throughout the movie.
That's not true. He totally does.
He does.
It's
He
just
fights.
not exactly the same. But I mean, it's kind of a similar story. I haven't seen the Karate Kid in a long time. So the Mr. Miyagi is Bruce Lee in this movie.
So I guess it's like it starts out basically the kid like moves into a new town and he's
after his father is beaten up by is his name like Rob the Russian, Jean-Claude Van
it's
Damme?
Ivan the Russian.
Ivan the Russian.
But
I wish it was Rob the Russian.
He's hired by like a mafia kind of a mafia, big high up mafia guy comes into his dad's dojo.
Yeah, they just want control of all karate studios
for no reason
across America.
Yeah,
it makes
they're
no
not
sense.
clear on why. I thought it was so like they could like recruit henchmen or just like be
train
like
them.
yeah, or just be like I like you're gonna give me trouble. I own all the dojos on the Eastern Seaboard, so I can make things troublesome for you. Anyway, so his dad owns a dojo, and they try and like muscle him, and he's like, no, not gonna do it. So Ivan Drago beats the shit out of him.
Ivan the Russian.
No, first of all, it's one of the henchmen looks exactly like Al Pacino from Serpico.
He does.
Yes.
He looks a little bit like Adam Sandler too, I felt.
And he comes in wearing a full black belt gi, and you're like, whoa. And
he means business.
Yeah. So he attacks him first, and then he does okay. And then Jean-Claude Van Damme, who's wearing like a white 80s suit, full suit.
Made of pure cocaine.
Yeah. But then he beats the shit out of him, and I was like, oh, those suit pants, are they gi pants? Or were suit pants like that back then? Because, he kicks like really high.
We're getting the pure April black belt experience because you are a black belt in karate, aren't you, April?
It's true, I am.
Show me some moves. Whoa, that's crazy.
Oh my God, I can't believe she just did that.
The Jean-Claude Van Damme splits.
Oh God. I used to be able to do the splits, not anything like Jean-Claude Van Damme, but
You couldn't like jump on like the ring of a wrestling ring and just on the
so cool.
This is ridiculous. He does it at the end. I was telling somebody about that.
Yeah, he does it at the end because he only appears at the beginning and at the end.
Exactly.
True. So anyway, so he breaks our main character Jason's dad's knee.
Hilariously.
His knee, and this dad is like,
And he cries and he makes a big show of it.
Oh, and he's such a baby. Like his leg is
wussiest.
broken, and he says, "Oh, you never get to do karate ever again."
yeah, it's like it's so bad. He's like, Jason, we gotta just pick up and move.
Yeah.
So they moved
so
from
scared.
LA.
Picks his family up. They move from Sherman Oaks to see what they have.
Seattle?
They have to
Seattle.
leave town.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they moved
Starbucks country.
They moved to Seattle, and they do the establishing shot of the Space Needle, and they still show a title card that says Seattle. We got
I thought it was
guys.
Toronto. Good thing they put that Seattle thing at the beginning of it.
Yeah, so
But
he
it's so
refuses to let his son do karate, and it's a point
Oh,
of...
but Jason has that Bruce Lee poster, and it's up on his wall, and he's not going to quit.
And he doesn't even wait to move in. Like as soon as the car pulls up and they're
He's
unloading
like
stuff,
fucking doing karate.
he grabs his wooden man and his Bruce Lee poster and runs into the garage and sets up immediately.
His Wing Chun dummy.
And then
and
he starts fighting it, and then he like breaks a shelf.
Yeah,
he's like I can't control myself. Whoa!
it's confusing because he used to do karate, but he loves kung fu or the form that Bruce Lee
Jeet
invented,
Kune Do.
Jeet Kune Do,
Yeah.
and then
It's all styles.
And he does it at the beginning, like during a drill, and his dad's like, "Whoa, we don't do any of that. We just do karate, which is Japanese. They're completely different styles, but whatever. It's all martial arts."
We should point out that like the real drama is when they arrive and the kid starts doing karate. There's the bully from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, is that the guy?
No, it's not.
Okay,
He looks
it looks
exactly
like
like
him.
him.
like him, and he is introduced eating an entire cake.
He's
Holding half a cake, a whole
Just
cake.
chowing down, and he just sees the guy, and he's like, "Look at that karate punk."
he goes like Bruce Lee fanatic,
He's like,
Bruce
yeah,
Lee weirdo.
Just what we need, another Bruce Lee freak. Or
he is
something like that.
holding an entire chocolate birthday cake. And
Yeah, and
he's
it's got
already
like chips
eaten
and
half.
stuff on the side.
And he's
So,
got
yeah.
it all like smeared over his face, like the way a child would eat or something. But this guy looks like he's 25 or something.
Yeah. And so the movie is essentially about Jason. It's like, I guess, a slice of life because there's not really any plot or anything like
plot.
that.
He moves to town. He tries to make friends. He only makes one friend.
RJ.
Immediately.
RJ.
Who is like-
same scene we were just talking about with the birthday cake eating bully. RJ skateboards up and he makes friends with him immediately.
He has a boombox on his bike.
Oh, that's right. He's got a boombox taped to
Did
the.
you have
like,
one of those, Colin, when you were a kid?
A boombox or a bike?
No, a boombox. Yeah, together like a transformer. And you had one of those like microphones where you're like, "Hey, lady.
good looking. We'll be back to pick you up later."
So cool.
It's Hammer. No, I didn't have one of those.
Oh, you didn't have? You were jealous. You
No,
were,
man,
you were
I
like,
didn't-
look at those boombox
The
fanatics.
boombox bikes. I had a bike and a boombox, but
You carry it on your shoulders with like your backwards baseball cap.
Yeah,
and you're
as you
like,
would.
Ratitude. That's what I got.
you know what kids would do back in the 80s when I was coming up?
Mm-hmm.
You'd have the thing, but instead of like baseball caps, you'd go to, CIL, like the painting store.
Okay, vaguely, yeah.
Okay, so you go to the painting store, they'd have it malls. And
CIL closed in 1982.
CIL is like a sort of famous paint company, whatever. But you could get painter's caps. Just like they give them out free. They were just like white caps with like a paper brim, so when you're painting, it doesn't get
Yeah.
in your hair and
get
stuff.
in your head.
But kids would go to the mall, get CIL caps, and then you would write in like markers all your favorite bands and stuff. You decorate them.
Cool.
So Colin's hat was just like Kiss 30 times on the front.
It's,
Like,
Stray Cats? I don't know. Who
Def
did you
Leppard.
like before the Stray Cats?
Well, I remember like everybody at school, so you decorate your hat, and then like my one friend, Culture Club was big at the time,
Ooh.
and then what did he write? He was like Karma Chameleon, and then he wrote.
do you like pina coladas?
That's an
Jimmy
entirely
Buffett.
different. That's not Jimmy Buffett. That's
wrote-
Harry Nilsson.
It was like no, that's
It's not-
Jimmy Buffett.
No, that's a well misconstrued. Okay, we're getting off topic
Whatever.
here.
So he wrote red, gold, and green, like in the song, but he wrote it in red marker, green, gold,
God.
and green.
Oh, how old was this kid?
And we were
25.
We were blown away, like, whoa, that's so creative.
Something I would have done as like a.
Yeah, all the women
Fifth
walking
grader.
into like, woo, got the vapor.
Spoon. I got a case of the horrible.
You're like, hey, I recorded the song off the radio. How about you give it a listen?
I love Boy George. But anyway, we're taking a time away from the real hero of this movie, which is RJ.
RJ.
So this guy
Played by two people, the
yeah.
original actor and a stuntman in blackface.
Oh yes, that's
No,
right.
he wasn't in blackface.
Yes,
what?
he was.
Okay, so the thing about RJ is this character,
The stuntman was, not RJ.
He skateboards and he break dances. And if you look up the IMDb trivia, it says that this actor wanted the role so bad that he lied about being able to skateboard and break dance, which makes sense why they had to use a stunt double. So he also raps too. He has his little like boombox, and then he does a little rhyme, and he's like rip rap tastic. Yeah.
Does a Bruce Lee rap
Oh,
immediately?
does he raps about Bruce Lee?
Yeah, he
My
goes
name's
into
Bruce Lee, and
My
I'm
name's
here to
Bruce
say-
Lee, and I'm here to say
It's much better than what we're.
It's
even
not much
saying,
better than what
but
we're doing.
He's just
Rip,
like,
rap,
yeah,
rap.
I like to rap, and you like to do kung fu. Now watch me do this, and he like spins around and like cut to an amazing person doing breakdancing
In a wig and
Yeah,
blackface.
yeah.
I didn't know it was.
It's
blackface.
probably an Asian man.
Yeah, it's an
in
Asian
blackface.
man
Yeah.
because it was mostly an Asian crew. This film was directed by Corey Yun, who would also go on and direct The Transporter, and he had his own Hong Kong stunt team, which is why the performances are, I would
little
say,
stilted?
a little stilted.
Yeah.
They're funny, especially at this beginning when you get to meet all the characters.
RJ is hilarious. Like
He's. I mean, speaking of like earnestness, he's just like astonished and smiling at everything.
He's so happy, and I want RJ as my best friend. I want him to be around. He's like one
You
of
can
those
just
guys-
go to his house in the movie and be like, RJ, my dad kicked me out. And he's
Yeah.
like, I'll help you. I have this abandoned warehouse you can go hang
Yeah,
out
what the
in."
hell?
He's so helpful, and then they come up with a catchphrase, which is "No retreat, no surrender,"
Yeah.
which comes into play at the end.
Only
where
at
he
the end, though.
shouts
They
it.
yell it like basically what
couple
happens is RJ is picked on by the bully from Pee Wee.
the fat bully. Yeah.
And
who happens to be in like a kind of the neighborhood dojo as
yeah,
well.
and like Jason jumps in to defend him, and I'm like, oh boy, it's gonna be fun. And then it just breaks up, which
Then
is a theme with this movie.
They go, "No retreat, no surrender," and then they all run away.
Essentially, give up
And
right
they just all
away.
run away.
Yeah.
Okay, what was your favorite part, April?
Oh man. Well, I loved so many things, but I really liked the kung fu or the martial arts in the movie. We we need to mention that there are a lot of training montages, so we kind of glossed over. So our a hero loves Bruce Lee, and then you find out that Bruce Lee's grave is in Seattle.
I knew that. I visited it. It's
Really?
right beside
really
Brandon Lee's grave as well. Yep.
Why Seattle? Did he
Why
live in
Seattle?
Seattle?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was
I'm
thought
sure
it'd
we
be
can
like-
look really easily, and we're not going to, but yeah, it's there.
Well, I'm sure that came into play when they were writing the movie, which was, hey, let's shoot here because that's where his grave is, and that'll play it into the plot. So,
And, as we know from the film Bruce Lee Strikes Back from the Grave, he can just burst out of his coffin
Yeah.
and help whoever needs it.
Yeah.
Have you not seen that poster? It's literally Bruce Lee punching out of the ground.
Wait,
And there's
what?
like bat people and stuff like that. And the movie starts with it's Bruce Lee's grave, just a gravestone that says Bruce Lee, and then he just pops right out of it. And then essentially they just took another movie, gave it a wacky title, and added like an opening sequence where Bruce Lee pops out of his grave.
What movie is this?
It's called Bruce Lee Strikes Back from the Grave. I'm not even kidding. I had the poster on my wall all through college.
Oh, it's called The Rise of the
learn,
Bruce Lee.
You learn new things every day.
It's no clones of Bruce Lee, but what can you do?
Yeah, but anyway,
That's
so
insane.
Jason kind of gets in bad with the local dojo, and he has a friend who's a girl who he knew back in LA, and she's not dating, but the dojo guy. He's like, oh, it's my girl, and he gets into a fight, and then his dad's like, no fighting. So he's like conflicted because he wants to fight back, but he doesn't want to disappoint his family.
Classic Bruce Lee conundrum.
Yeah, and then there's a scene where his dad goes into the garage and takes out all his Bruce Lee stuff, and it's like exactly like the scene in The Little Mermaid, which I guess came out after this. But
Was
come
she a
on,
fan
you
of
guys.
Bruce Lee?
Yeah, she's a fan of Bruce Lee.
Where she loves human stuff, and he finds out that she rescued a human, so he goes into her little cavern and destroys all her
Really?
stuff.
I don't remember that.
She has a picture of a human up on the wall.
Who happens to be Bruce Lee.
No, she has a statue of a human.
Really?
And it's Eric. Come on. Have you guys even seen The Little
I've never
Mermaid?
seen it.
I know
A
you
long
haven't,
time
yeah.
ago.
It's
I haven't.
identical, but I
Under
think
the sea.
I think that came out after.
Simpsons.
7-Up, the Uncola.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Is that a Little
Bruce
Mermaid
Lee's
thing?
ghost sure shows up. He's
cut to
like,
the
I know.
you-
He's like, I need guidance. So anyway, Bruce Lee trains him.
No, okay. You have
my
to say that this kid whines at Bruce Lee's grave like a giant baby.
He does.
couple
Like, just like
times.
it's worse than his dad.
Please. And like nothing really bad happened to him. Like he's having a tough time getting in the city. Everyone's a jerk. He has RJ though.
He got
Yeah.
beat up at a party.
yeah.
He can't fit in, and people are misunderstanding him. But
Yeah,
he's
and
kind
he's
of being
like,
a
Bruce
baby.
Lee, I did everything that you did. Why won't you help me? Wah, wah, wah. I hate this kid.
But
I like
he,
him. He's
he
fine.
needs guidance, and fake Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
he gives him like Zen, like actual like teachings, but then he teaches him how to fight. He trains him in really cool ways.
So
Yeah, it's
the
a big
kid
training
Jason at this
montage.
point, he had like an aneurysm, right? And he's like,
yeah, this is my thing. So I said to April,
he's like hallucinating
Yes.
that Bruce Lee visited
yes. So this whole
Totally.
thing, so he gets kicked out of, he brings all of his training equipment. RJ hooks him up. They drive him to like this
Abandoned house.
squatter house, but it's like
falling
this
apart.
big 2-story place. It's got shag carpet, and he sets up his training equipment and candles everywhere. And I'm like, this is the worst place to have candles. And he's doing training. It's like big shag carpets in an abandoned like crack house or something. So I was joking with April as we're watching this. I'm like, he's training with Bruce Lee. And at one point, RJ looks in the window from outside, and I go, they're just going to cut to him, and he'll be with Bruce Lee's corpse. He'll have done
his dummy
he'll-
out there.
he's dug it out of his grave. And he's just got Bruce Lee's corpse in the house, like, Mrs. Voorhees or something like that.
they show him talking to no one.
Yeah.
And RJ's like, what are you doing, man? And he's
He's like, oh, Bruce Lee's training me. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay. And RJ's like, yeah, whatever. Big smile on his face.
no, he had like a mental fugue state breakdown.
that last 30 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, so
enough for
that's-
3 montages.
It's really long.
Yeah, so I actually love the training montages. I think they're a lot of fun, and he's
very sexy.
He's doing these insane things, except for one thing. He does a 2-finger push-up, and I found out later that was assisted by a wire. So it's fake, but no, everything else was so cool. He's just training in like the abandoned house, and then like a playground outside. It's pretty great.
A lot of
like,
playgrounds.
And then I mean, we'll get to the end fight later.
Well, what about when RJ's helping him out during the workout?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, the most intense homoerotic scene since Brokeback Mountain.
Just like standing on top of him as he's like thrusting
He's
his body
sitting
into him.
on
He's riding his crotch.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to describe. You're just gonna have to see it for yourself. But I love the part at the end where he finally does get to fight, and they cut back to the training montages to show how he learned the moves. That's like my favorite editing trick in like fight movies and other things.
Yeah, it's
where
it's a kind of classic.
It's like,
thing that
see,
you'll
he was
see.
dodging the sandbag, and then he knows how to dodge the kicks, and it just really brought it all together for me.
And I think my favorite thing is definitely the Pee Wee Herman bully, because he like dominates the first hour and then disappears from the film.
Yeah, he turns out
no
he's just,
revenge is taken on him. You never really see him again. This is a weird movie where I know April said she likes the fights.
Yeah.
there are no fights in this movie. There's
It's
even like
insane.
another
Training.
dojo guy that's introduced, and you're like, oh, he's gonna fight him. Never fights him.
Yeah.
Like the movie starts out with a fight though.
Yeah, it's okay. And then there's one at the end, and that's pretty much it.
It's weird because this dojo is owned by like a famous guy, and then you see him on TV fighting in this boxing thing, and then his little brother is the other
Yeah.
dojo guy who is sweet on the girl, Jason's girl. But then again, none of these people are really characters. They're not really developed much.
It doesn't matter, and it's weird that like we're introduced to these villains, like a boss and a sub boss,
Yeah.
and the hero never fights them.
Well, he
No,
can't fight
because-
the fat kid.
No, but he can fight the dojo like who is
Yeah.
like mean to his
He
girlfriend.
doesn't. They shove each other at the party.
I should point out too that the hero of this movie is like terrible. At one point, the girl comes up to him and she's like, "I didn't know what was going on," and he grabs her and pushes her against
He
the
does.
car.
Yeah, I
and he's
noticed
like,
that.
"Leave me alone."
Yeah, that's
He
right.
pushes her. Not cool.
Terrible.
Not cool, Jason.
And he apologizes, but
Well, the
the
thing
way
is, like,
abusers do.
The first time you even meet this girl, it must be like 30 or 40 minutes into the movie
Yeah.
at the birthday party.
And I'm like, did I miss a scene?
And
or
they're like
something?
kissing and like, wait a minute, do they?
They're not
know?
kissing, but she's like, "Hi," and then I only knew because I remembered I saw it before.
No, they
that
kiss inside, and then
Oh, really?
the fat guy sees them, and then he tells the
They're
dojo.
already kissing?
Yes.
They haven't seen each other in like years.
He-
or was
It's
it like last
It's
summer?
a French kiss. On each cheek.
Yeah. No, they established that they are old friends from LA, but she lives in Seattle now, so she's supposed to be like his.
You know the LA lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Orgies all over the place.
Constantly.
What was your favorite part, Colin?
Well, okay. There's a couple of favorite parts, but the one thing I just found funny was just how much of a wuss the dad was in this movie.
He is such a wuss.
First of all, he's one of the worst actors I've ever seen. Like
Yeah,
he's
he
just
is bad.
so
He's bad.
so whiny and horrible, and you just feel bad. Like, God,
And I
this-
love that, like, he's like, no fighting, until suddenly he's in danger and
Yeah.
his son saves him. He's like, maybe fighting is good.
I was wrong. I'm so proud of you, son.
What the hell?
Talk about how his new job in
Oh God!
Seattle.
So yeah, he becomes the dad is like limping around because I guess his knee is busted and he can't fight anymore. And then he's like a bartender at this horrible dive bar, and the guy's like,
disgusting.
"Hey, like bartender, bring me over a beer." And then he like kind of limps over and he's like, "Yeah," and then he like pours it on his head.
Yeah. Then he's like, please don't do that. And the guy's like, I'm going to get you.
"Yeah," and he's
Yeah, so
just
he
like,
throws him out, and then the guy's like, "How dare you stop me from acting like a huge asshole?
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring my buddies back and beat you up," and they do.
and they beat the shit, and then the son just happens to be driving
Yeah.
by, and he's like, "Oh, Dad," and he like saves him.
really
And then
sad.
it's
It's
just
really sad.
the most
It's like a
pathetic,
slice of life.
pathetic father. Like you just, oh God, I feel
So-
bad for the kid.
and-
But then my favorite part.
I was going to say that after all this training, that Bruce Lee's trained him for like half an hour, it all climaxes with the kid sitting in an audience and watching 6 other people
Yeah.
fight for 15 minutes.
Well, they're building
Yeah.
it up because
They are. They built
whatever.
it
The mobsters come over, they take over this karate tournament, and they say, "All right, it's going to be everyone against Jean-Claude Van Damme."
Do you know why they did that?
No.
The rules seem very unclear. And the guy says, like, and if Jean-Claude Van Damme wins, he gets your karate studio. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
how, what is going on?
Yeah, it's like Yeah, he said
I never
it's like,
signed anything.
he said it's New York karate versus Seattle karate.
Yeah.
And so I guess they're setting it up. It's like all the big bads that you've seen in the movie, like, you know, all go up against Jean-Claude Van Damme, and it's like, whatever. And then the kid jumps in, you're like, holy shit, how could he ever beat him? And it's like,
I mean, he did train for half an hour
With
with the
Bruce
ghost
Lee.
of Bruce Lee.
But like,
Or did he?
Yeah. So there's like,
Just like after seizure on the ground. It's like Brazil, like the close up of his face.
He wakes up.
I beat Van Damme. Everybody loves me.
He's kind of just
He's
drooling in a
gone.
hospital, and RJ's there. RJ was like the kind of, I don't know, one of the doctors or something.
It started when he jumped when he got to Seattle and he kicked that shelf and fell back and hit his head. And the film has been a fever dream the entire time.
but like that.
It's like we brought
end
you a
fight,
chocolate cake.
The mob boss guy, at the end, he's like saying to Jean-Claude Van Damme, like, kill him. So then he starts fighting dirty, and he's just like brutally like trying to like kill people in the ring. He grabs like the girl's hair, and
He
then
attacks the ref.
Yeah,
He,
he's attacking the ref. So I was like, what are you doing? And then that's when our hero jumps in and saves
Do you think
the
when
day.
Jean-Claude Van Damme gets defeated, the mob boss is like, well, that's it for me. No more karate champion dojo.
his,
He's like,
like,
I'll be
ace
back
in the
tomorrow with a gun.
Yeah, no,
We're
he
gonna
takes
get
him
this
outside and like shoots him in back.
The exact same thing happened in Roadhouse, and I'm just saying that because we just watched it. Because he's like, it's a rich guy who has a karate guy, and he's like, "Hey, just beat everybody up, just to show everyone that I'm cool."
Oh, man,
this is
I would have
henchman.
loved this movie if it ended with the guy's like, Bruce Lee taught me this move, and he like rips out Jean-Claude Van Damme's neck.
Yeah.
But before we move on to our next movie,
Wait,
there was
I
you have more?
Oh, I haven't even said my favorite thing.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
what's your favorite thing?
I was laughing at the dad. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But, you know, my favorite thing is the random breakdancing competition in the middle of this movie.
Where I'm like, is this RJ? No, not RJ. It's just two other people breakdancing.
I think they were supposed to be RJ's parents. But
don't
I'm just
know.
guessing.
That is not clear.
Because he goes up to them and is like, hi. And then the guy tries to ask the girl, makes the girl dance, and he does like a cool robot thing to impress her.
So yeah, we just open up, and I guess everyone from the school is just at this bar, and there's it's like a guy and a girl kind of dressed like
They're
Michael Jackson.
a married couple. I checked the credits.
Okay, well they're dressed like Michael Jackson in his Beat It outfit with the zippers, and they're doing breakdancing, and then RJ does like the happiest breakdance, and it's just all cutaways to a small Asian man in blackface,
Yeah,
doing
like
crazy
breakdancing.
I
flips.
can't believe they did blackface.
Yeah, they did. 100%.
I believe you.
Obviously not him.
I have a photo. I was going to send it to you on Facebook, and I forgot I was doing something else.
What, like where you can tell?
You
that
can
it's-
tell, yeah, it's like a wig and like the
But
painted
it's
on.
so funny though because like there's a shot from above of someone spinning incredibly, and then you just cut to
RJ standing
just
up.
pops-
RJ standing
just
up
pops
and smiling.
up into frame. It's really funny.
It's so funny and random, and it's like, wait, everyone from the school is there. What is
It's a
this?
social event of the
What is
season.
this?
Everybody
Yeah,
has their
sock
hats,
hop.
their favorite bands on them. They're like,
Yeah, that's what you did in 1986.
yeah, you didn't have the internet, you didn't have television, you
Yeah.
didn't have electricity. Wait, so there was a lawsuit involved with this film, right?
Right.
Yeah, well, apparently a bunch of people, well, it was mainly one person, I'm not sure, I'm gonna have to look up who it was, who tried to file a lawsuit against Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Probably Jason.
No, it wasn't. And it wasn't actually anybody in this movie, but it was for him not being safe on set and not taking enough care, because he would often hurt people, kick people, knock people out. So two people that were in this movie testified at this trial. One was the guy who played the dad, and he said that he was not safe because in the first scene he
actually broke his knee.
He gets kicked in the chest, but apparently he kept kicking him in the neck and the face and like repeatedly. And then also another guy testified that he was being safe, but I think it was the guy who played the mob boss. So like he didn't have a fight scene with him. He was just like, oh, I was there, and you know, and he was, and so a bunch of other people. So I'm not sure actually what if he actually got
We'll
charged.
never know the truth.
Well, Sugarfoot Cunningham, it was the black guy that he fights in the ring at the end. You can see it on film, like Jean-Claude roundhouses him and knocks him out cold.
Yeah,
When
and it's
he's-
in the IMDb that he was knocked out
and
multiple times.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is renowned for like really hurting people on set and being very sloppy, and he actually blinded a guy on Cyborg
In
I think
one
it
eye.
was.
wow.
Yeah, he stabbed a stuntman in the eye and blinded him.
Gross.
Yeah, that's crazy. But
He's just
like,
very sloppy, and I think he really he just doesn't have any control.
Yeah, I don't think it's him being like malicious. It's just, again, like not taking enough care to be like careful enough and not having enough control over his body. And I guess like the person suing him was like suing him for like damages, but he knocked, like, I don't know if it was the fight with the dad or the other one, but apparently during one of the times when he like hit him, he was like, Jean-Claude was like, "Are you okay?" And then the director yelled at him and was like, "How dare you tell him that ask him if he was okay? Like you're blowing the take."
Classic Corey, and I don't know if he's
That was guest director Jackie Chan stepping in.
This is all stuff I just read on the IMDb Tribune, but look it up. It's an interesting story. And before we move on, there were 2 sequels to this movie, right? I haven't seen the second one. I've seen the third one. It's amazing. Have you seen the second one,
Yeah,
Justin?
it's Cynthia Rothrock. Yeah,
Cynthia Rothrock.
Yeah, it's Cynthia Rothrock, and it's completely unrelated. And I think they go to Vietnam or Thailand. It's like a Men on a Mission movie.
Oh, I'm down.
It has another title. It's not Raging Phoenix, but it's something like that.
It's like one of these series where none of the sequels have anything to do with each other.
The third one,
Which you showed us. We saw it.
We showed it on film at the Laser Blast Film Society.
That was amazing.
And that one is probably seasonal films. The people who made No Retreat, No Surrender. Essentially, what they did was they brought like Hong Kong style action to English speaking cinema before anybody cared, so it didn't really make that much money. But they have like these really great fights, especially the third one, within the context of horrible actors, which just makes it funnier.
Yeah, it's like they're trying, but they can't because they're martial artists.
They're martial artists.
Yeah.
They're real martial artists.
So what is it, like Blood Brothers?
Blood Brothers, yeah.
That it was so amazing in the theater.
It's
like,
very
so
entertaining.
entertaining.
It has a very Miami Connection style group
definitely
that they team up with
Joseph Campanella playing their father.
Yeah.
But even in this movie, the first thing I noticed was just like the speed. You can tell it's like undercranked a lot, but just the choreography, and you can really tell like it's quite a step above anything that would be coming out in the US at the time. Like we're comparing it to Karate Kid, but that's like nothing. You could really tell, okay, this is like a Hong Kong movie.
Yeah,
with Hong Kong
I love
actors.
those movies that are like American, but you can tell the Hong Kong influence.
Right.
There's just a competency to the fight, the choreography. It's just so much better.
Speaking of competency and so much better, let's move on to our second film.
Oh boy,
Blood Lake.
Oh my god.
So this is a film that I've heard about for a long time. It's known as like a video horror. I want to say classic, but that's a strong word.
A new classic.
More like it's well known as a film that is most famous for feeling like the home video footage of a bunch of people at the cottage in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I was kind of saying while watching this, it's like your friend who invites you up to his buddy's cottage and you don't know anybody there. And you're kind of stuck for a weekend with these people, these douchebags.
These people
that
you don't like.
And all shot in real time.
Yeah, but you get to do a lot of water skiing.
Man, there's a lot of everything.
So
in
I
this
made a
movie.
joke, not a joke, because I knew this was true, but I'm like, man, 45 minutes of this movie is just people hanging out and then nothing happening.
Vacation.
More than that. More than that.
Yeah, like
More like
most
an hour.
of the movie.
Oh, more.
10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what great characters do we meet? We meet 2 men that have mullets, and what was the kind of shirt they had?
It's like a muscle shirt, but the armpit hole goes all the way down to the very bottom of the shirt.
Like if you like kind of like pawed at it a little bit, it would just like rip open.
So
Yeah.
it's like 2 panels of shirts, and it's like they're wearing a curtain kind of.
It's like a poncho that has like maybe a centimeter of material.
And again,
holding
I
it.
see people at the gym wearing these shirts, but it's within the context of people working out and they're like hot.
Why not just
I
go
guess.
shirless then?
I know.
Well,
Well,
you
I don't
know.
know
Yeah,
if you're allowed to
the like
do.
ventilation shafts
Yeah.
right on the side.
you gotta
I don't know
have
if you're allowed
something-
to do that at the gym.
Because
Yeah.
the people in this movie are obviously very tanned. Oh, can you imagine that they're tan, but like only in those shirt holes on the side of
Yeah,
their
That's
body?
where they're not tan. So
Yeah,
you're
they're
like, whoa.
tanned, and then it would kind of fade off towards the middle of their chest.
Yeah, I want a tan fade.
Yeah.
So we kind of mentioned what this movie is about.
It's a
It's
slasher
about
film.
people on vacation, and then a random person is going around
yeah,
killing
we'll
people.
reveal who the murderer is at the end.
Yeah. It's kind
of,
you'll be
they-
surprised.
But there's so little slasher and so much.
Water skiing.
What
Water
are you
skiing
kidding?
and
It opens
people
up with a
getting drunk.
gruesome murder.
Yeah, where the guy's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And he's like, "I just work here." And the killer's like,
Yeah.
"I don't care."
Yeah, and he
stabs him.
him, and then it's
We don't
like,
see anything.
There's no blood.
Nope.
You don't see anything.
But then you see the title, Blood Lake.
Blood
There's
Lake.
the blood.
Like a Bowie knife. It's very small.
And then we meet our heroes who I mean, I don't know any of their names except for Little Tony,
Oh,
and we'll get
God.
to him eventually.
Oh, my
but they
God.
all sound like what's his name in King of the Hill?
Is it Boomhauer?
Boomhauer? Yeah, they all kind of talk like this, mumbling.
When you can hear them, they talk
all
like
got
that.
a bit of a Oklahoma accent.
And just like our
A little
favorite
bit.
Sledgehammer, this is like Ultimate-esque where everyone is just talking
man.
over each other.
They're just riffing, but they all got nothing to say.
There's one scene. It's like after they come back from they just
boat ride,
Yeah.
yeah.
They go for a boat ride and they come back and it's just the three guys or something on the dock
they're
looking
drinking
at
the
our killer in the
beers.
distance, and he's sort of sitting doing nothing. And this scene, it's like lock off. It goes on for.
and they keep glancing over to the camera to be like, is it cut yet?
Keep going,
Is it
keep
cut?
going.
And it was just like you
And
could
then
see
eventually they're like, let's go back and see what the girls are up to.
but you could just see the director like off screen, like, yeah, just keep going, riff.
So what was your favorite part, Colin?
Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
This
No?
movie sucks.
on.
No, I'm overstating. Here's my thing. This is a bad movie, but
How dare
it
you.
I didn't find it annoying. Like, I was kind of like a little bit offended by Sledgehammer, the ultimate movie that I didn't like on this podcast.
I love Sledgehammer.
It's very similar to that. But I wasn't like I said, it didn't offend me. I wasn't annoyed by it. And I wasn't like, oh, it's so boring. Like, it's more just like, well, it's not that great, but there's some stuff to, again, like the outfits, they're pretty funny. I mean, the hairstyles. I mean, this is something when we usually come
The
down
fashion.
to
Yeah.
The coward's favorite part. The fashion.
Okay, I found.
It's 1987,
Wait,
guys.
actually, I remember my favorite thing. I wrote it down.
What was your favorite
Okay,
thing?
now we were talking about all these scenes that just go on and on and on. There's
yeah.
one particular scene.
The famous
Which one?
quarter
It's like,
scene.
Right in the middle of the movie. It's a quarter scene, and it's all shot.
Just
it
so you
looks
guys
like
know, it's people drinking, playing the game quarters.
Quarters.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Now,
so they're
what
all
is
sit-
the game quarters?
They're all sitting at a round table. What is it? You have to bounce a quarter off the table into
Your
Into
drink.
a-
into
Yeah.
a
your
glass.
drink.
And I think if you get into the drink, the other person has to drink it.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you miss, then you have to drink. And so this is, I swear to God, it's all shot in real time because this is shot on video. It looks like a cameraman was just sitting on a couch with the camera on his shoulder. Just one continuous shot of them playing quarters, and
Well, and there's some fades.
there's a crossfade. You're like,
and we made
oh,
a joke
geez.
like, oh, well, I guess time is passing.
Yeah. And then
and then it
there's,
kept happening.
there's another crossfade.
But they don't come one after the other.
No,
They're like a
it's-
few minutes after each
yeah,
other.
and it's just all
Yeah.
they must have shot like an hour and a half of them playing
They're
quarters.
definitely drinking beer as
Oh, yeah,
well, real
yeah.
beer. Because why would they drink fake beer?
You know what I think? I think they shot for the length of that scene. So what, 5 minutes? But they kept saying, "Okay, I'm gonna cut here. Now be drunker. Okay, I'm gonna cut here. Now be
I,
drunker."
I
I
don't
don't
think
no,
And they just
so.
I don't
put
think
those
so.
fades in after. You think
No.
he actually filmed them
Yes.
for like half an
100%.
hour?
Yeah,
Yes.
100%. Yeah.
Well, who knows?
Yeah.
We may never know.
The
We're gonna have
director
to-
knows.
we're gonna
Let's
have
turn
to
on
watch
the
it.
audio
We're gonna have to watch
commentary.
the
So
commentary.
it kept going, and by the end, there were 5 cross dissolves
Yep.
to they finally wrap this quarters game, and it goes on forever. So it's literally just like being at a cottage with people that you don't know.
really like,
and you're
yeah.
just sitting on the couch like reading a book, and you keep
and they're
looking
playing
up.
a
They're
game
playing
and you're, like,
quarters,
looking over, and you can't do anything
and you're
about
just
it.
like,
I mean,
"Ugh, I hate these assholes.
none of you took this, but I gotta take that. My favorite is obviously Little Tony.
The
So Little Tony
unsung
is
star
the
of the movie.
most tanned 14-year-old.
He
12?
might even be 12 or 13.
Yeah, he's
that you
very,
have
very
ever
young.
seen, and all he wants to do is drink beer and have sex with the other 12-year-old girl. That's
Oh
there.
God, this is
Susan
so
is her name.
so inappropriate.
Who looks even younger than him.
Yeah,
and
she looks
everybody
really
else
young.
is making inappropriate
And
comments.
everybody's talking about it. That's all Little Tony. That's all Susan can talk about too. They're like, we didn't sleep last night.
She's
Yeah.
like, I got a headache, and he's always like winking at the older guy. These older people, they want him to have sex with this girl.
So
Yeah.
It is
bad.
so gross. It's like the only thing they talk about in this
like,
goddamn movie.
Yeah, the only topic of conversation. It's the only through line in the movie.
Yeah, it's the only thing. It's like people are getting murdered, but they all keep coming back to
So
like,
like Little Tony,
Oh, look at
like
Tony.
getting some
Check up on
action.
him.
oh, it
Yeah.
looks like you didn't sleep last night. I wonder if you got any.
They wink like they do in Arrested Development. They're like,
Oh yeah, they're really bad wink.
and I mean, the other really horror thing in this film, other than the killer, is this freaky like face on a wall
Oh,
that they
yeah.
keep cutting back to, and it has like a tongue. It's like,
I would say it's like a Halloween decoration, but it's like better made than something you would just buy at like a
It's
Halloween
like a little
store.
old lady's face.
Yeah, it's like you pull a cord
And, like,
it,
water
it
spits in
squirts
your
water
and
and
the
then it
tongue
laughs. It
sticks
goes,
out. It's kind of creepy.
it is
Yeah.
kind of creepy, actually.
I mean, it's not as creepy as endless water skiing.
And my
Every
God.
character in the movie water skis.
Like, when, aside from the opening scene, when does the first murder in this movie occur? It must be like
probably an hour or 10?
Almost.
An
Yeah,
hour,
it
yeah.
ramps up kind of. Well, the two neighbors get murdered, and then
Skinheads?
they continue partying,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
they find the neighbors and they
yeah.
decide to, I guess, spend the last night.
Wait, who helps them find the neighbors?
No, the sheriff finds the neighbors. Like,
it's-
oh, there's the neighbor over there.
Mumble cop.
Old teen stash.
Yeah, so he shows up. It's like the sheriff knocks on the
wearing
door.
a 10-gallon hat.
This entire scene where he walks him down to the lake to show him the dead
there
bodies.
They are over there. The body is still up, but
I
there's nobody around it.
But I
He's like
guess-
crucified.
But it's like, how did he find out about the body? And
I think some
I thought he
neighbors
was a
came
murderer.
around and told them, and he's the
something.
sheriff.
He said that
the
something like
entire
that.
scene where they're walking down to the lake and he's like showing them the bodies. I guess they didn't have a microphone, or
Yeah, because you can't hear anything. They're
Yeah,
like,
there is literally you can't hear anything they're saying.
There was a lot of sound issues in this movie.
A lot, yeah.
When you get to the night scenes, they really shot at night. It's really hard to see because I don't think they had lights. It's
Oh,
really
no,
hard to
no.
see some of the things. So
all
it'll be like
natural
somebody
light.
swimming in the water, and it's like I think I see their head.
And what ends up happening is that one of the couples at the cottage is like, we just want to go for a walk. And by that, we mean go have sex in a boat. We
Yeah.
didn't even mention that this film is packed with rockin' tunes by Voyager.
Oh yeah,
With
I
like
know the
metal
credits,
songs.
yeah.
Oh,
But
there's
it's only metal at the beginning and the end, but in the middle,
no, there's some
they play-
screeching
they-
guitar.
Really?
Yeah, when
Oh,
they're
yeah.
water
Was
skiing.
that during the water
yeah,
ski?
it's a
Oh, I
water
forgot.
ski.
I just watched it and I already forgot.
Yeah.
But when they're on the boat making sweet love, you hear like the ballad that Voyager. It's
It's
like,
Yeah,
sex
it
we
was
made a
saxophone.
mistake.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have known better.
Yeah,
I
should have
should
known.
have known, but I guess it's about them about to get murdered.
Murder. And then the killer shows up, and the killer is just like this chunky man in like a purple shirt.
Well, you don't really see him until the very
floral
end.
Well, you see his tiny little knife.
His tiny face. Okay, so I have a story about a knife.
It's like a hunting knife, but it's really small.
I had this exact knife, and
Yeah.
what it was
My
is
dick is so big, I need a little knife.
Sure.
after Rambo came out. It's like everybody wanted the Rambo
Wait,
knife.
First Blood or Rambo First Blood Part 2?
Part 2.
Yeah, Rambo.
Say
Okay.
No,
part
it's just
two.
called.
No. It's actually called Rambo First Blood Part
No,
2.
it really is.
It is.
It is, but the first movie was not called Rambo.
No, it was
First
called
Blood.
No, it was called First Blood.
Just First Blood.
Yeah.
So I'm talking Rambo First Blood Part 2.
I am so.
It really should have been called Second Blood.
The second Rambo.
Yeah, it's Second Blood.
So he had that knife.
Yeah, and it's
then-
big in the movie.
Oh, it's huge because it's a real knife.
Yeah.
And so everybody wanted this knife. So you go to the Canadian National Exhibition, the CNE, and they would have like the hunting exhibition area or whatever like that.
Sportsman
The Sportsman's
show
or something like that.
I know.
Sportsman
No, it's
So I
it's
remember-
actually it's a thing. I used to go there.
Me and my friend,
Why? You need your karate knives.
yeah, me and my friend and I were walking around with his dad, and then we came across this like knife shop, and it was just like they had we thought they looked just like the Rambo knives because they had like a compass on the end of the handle, and you could unscrew it, and it had like matches inside, like a pack of matches,
Yeah.
and like fishing line, and like a hook, and
Was it as small as the one in this movie?
It's identical. It's the same.
It could have been the same one.
No,
So it's like
because
a 1/10
Yeah, it's tiny.
size.
It's like 6 inches.
In a child's hands, it's pretty big. So
Yeah, you should know that Colin has children hands. He has doll hands.
yeah.
It's called doll hand syndrome. It's a real disease, people.
so we had the guy's dad bought us these two knives.
Yeah, he's like, you're men now.
And I said, "Oh, please, like, can you buy us these knives?" And
Yeah,
we were
because you need an adult to buy you a knife, right?
right, and he's like,
He's
"Well,
like, that's not a knife.
thing is-
This is a knife.
they were like $20 per knife," and I go, "Please."
That's like $100 in today money.
I said, "Please, sir, can I like just borrow $20? I'll
borrow
pay it to you."
$20?
So he bought us these knives, and I brought it to camp and everything, and it was like the worst knife.
How were you allowed to bring a knife to camp? Was it a different time?
Yeah, it was.
bring-
Yeah, we
No,
were
they
not
actually
allowed to
tell
bring
you
knives.
in the camp guide of what to bring. They tell you to bring a knife.
Whoa!
Oh, you're going camping.
We
You have to
weren't
do
even
camping
allowed to
things.
have like Swiss Army knives when I was camp. And I
Really?
vividly remember, yeah, because I used to go to camp for like a week with, I guess beavers it was called, or wolves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
With, like,
And I remember there
older
was
as wolves,
a
yeah.
younger kid there, and he literally cut himself so badly with one of those Swiss Army knives that they had to take him away.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
I don't know. We weren't there. We came back and he was screaming and covered in blood.
He was like
Oh,
he was like the
God.
dad in No Retreat, No Surrender.
That's the thing. It's like kids are stupid. You shouldn't give them knives.
Wait,
Yeah,
wait.
when
so
I went to camp,
is there an end of the story? Like with this knife? Where's this knife today?
Honestly, when I went to camp, we had like riflery. We took like archery and like
Yeah.
riflery. We shot with actual like 22s,
Oh my
like
God.
bullets,
You
until
could
like
not-
somebody got shot. And the
Until
rifle
somebody got shot.
in the ankle, some like cottager
Yeah.
up the road or
Colin's
something.
like, I can't control this gun with my doll hands.
Yeah, and I remember
Oh my God, I
our
can't
riflery
believe-
instructor had an M16 that he would let us fire.
M16.
Yes,
I
it
don't
wasn't
even- I don't know
automatic,
what that
but
He's like, just like Rambo.
yeah, exactly. So we all
Wow.
loved it. I mean, the knife was the piece of shit. Like it was so garbage.
Was there a kid with like a bigger actual Rambo
No,
knife?
no.
So you were the king of the castle when it came to
No, a bunch of us
knives.
had them, and I think we
Everyone
would just
had
Look
them.
at my cool knife. And
We would
everybody's
say-
like, look at my cool knife. Look at mine.
We would all just throw them into the floor in the cabin, like see if they could stick, but they were so terrible, and then they all fell apart. Like, they're such
You
garbage.
boys and your throwing knives.
Yeah, Colin still throws those knives every
No,
Oh
day.
yeah,
I went-
that's why there's all
no.
the holes in the floor.
Strengthen
I
those
went
doll
to like a
hands.
cottage, but it was more of a shack when I was like 20. And the boys were like, let's throw knives at trees. And I
Really?
guess apparently that's what people do.
Wait,
but
did
I
you
was
get
like,
in and you're like, hey,
I was horrified.
I'm a black belt karate. You're like, yeah. Throw like
No,
49.
I don't
Your
think you should be
size or
playing
whatever.
with knives. I am against throwing sharp things.
I recently, a few months ago, actually, no, it would have probably been a year ago, I won at the axe
axe
throwing.
throwing.
Oh
Right at
yeah,
the
that's
bullseye.
right.
We were there, but we didn't check out axe throwing.
I do have to say that like 3 weeks ago, April cut her finger really bad cutting a bagel.
The
Throwing knives.
No, I'm cutting a bagel.
Stories of April hurting herself while cooking again. I sliced my finger open cutting a bagel.
I
so-
woke up, there was so much blood, Justin. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
But you know what? You can't.
Was
even
she like,
tell.
I cut a bagel, and you see out of the corner of your eyes like
No,
a body on
no,
the
she was
ground?
like screaming, and like I had to bring a chair into the kitchen because
Well,
she
see,
said she
look
was
at
going to
my
pass
finger.
out.
You can't even tell.
Because you've cut
it.
yourself so many times, it's
Yeah.
just like a giant scab.
Yeah, I got stitches.
Oh, it was so funny.
But
I had to throw the bagel out.
had to throw the bagel.
It's so bad we couldn't
Eat
eat
it.
the bagel. It had blood on it. Okay, one thing we need to mention about this movie is that the killer is Rob Reiner.
Yes, he is Rob Reiner.
Like,
And when
I'm not
we
talking-
pointed out, someone in the movie yells, Reiner!
Kind of sounds like Reiner.
I think she was saying like,
Run away.
yeah,
I don't know.
hurry
But
or
it
something like that.
literally looks like Rob Reiner in a black fedora.
It does.
And like a hipster, we were saying incel, but like the it's like a collared shirt that's like purple, but it has like a flower patch on it, so it's like a
It's like a kind of
Cow-
country,
cowboyish
a cowpoke
kind of.
shirt. It was the
Yeah.
incel hat, the fedora
Yeah.
hat that we were
And
talking
I
about.
kind of like
and
at
a
the
pickup
end,
artist.
right.
when they take him out and the cop shows up and is like, hey, what's going on here? He's like, oh my God, that's, I don't remember what his name is, Pete.
Yeah.
Your father bought the house from him and never paid him. That's why he's murdering everybody. And that's just kind of like swept away. And all I could think of was, oh no, this guy is justified then. He should murder anybody that comes to this house.
I felt like, what, you bought the house from it and,
And
never
you
paid
didn't
him.
pay the person that was in the house.
Well, how does that work
So
out?
he just bought the house next to it and waited for someone to show up and kill them.
I guess.
Because I guess it was insinuated that he killed the last people that were staying there. Because
Yeah.
weren't they like,
That was
oh,
the opening scene.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
there were people here like months ago, and their food is still here.
So I think the
Yeah.
real lesson is that
When you buy a house, always
yeah,
pay
pay
for
the
it.
person. And also, rich people are not punished. Because I think he murdered everybody but the person that actually betrayed him.
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
And not to give away the ending, but we're going to give away the very ending of this movie, which is
He wakes up and he's in hell.
No, wait, this is the killer, by the way.
Yeah.
so they leave in an ambulance. The surviving members of the party squad, and
Squad.
and he dissolves into the frame, and it's daytime, and he goes out to the lake, and there's no water in it. It dries dried up.
And we went online like anybody would do to research how that is. And there was like, it's like a company did something that caused it to
I don't know
empty out.
if the dam failed, or they said like the gypsum in the lake cracked, and literally overnight this was a whole lake resort town. The lake drained.
Yeah.
Like it drained into the ground.
Into
basically.
the ground or something like that.
Do you know if it was a man-made lake?
No.
Yeah.
It was a blood lake.
What? That's so funny. The lake was like the main character.
Yeah.
But at the very end, like, so we're watching this thinking like, how did they shoot in a dried up lake? The very like first credit that comes up was dried up lake effect by act of God.
Act of God, yeah.
Because it's just so appropriate because they're thinking people are going to be watching this thinking, how did they do this?
And we were, and my God, there's a lot of shots of this lake.
Oh man, they showed up. They probably
Endless.
drove down to the cottage, which I think they only made this movie because one of the director's friends said they had a cottage they could shoot in.
Right, okay.
And that's how it
Naturally.
came about.
Yeah.
And like if they drove back to get footage in this cottage, like and this dried up lake, they're like 30 shots of zooming in and out.
Oh my God,
of,
it's crazy. They probably, like, it sounds like the movie just wrapped and then overnight this drained.
happened, yeah,
They
and
made it
went
sound
back.
So
like that,
they're
yeah.
like, let's tack on an ending. And like people are going to be talking about this
And now
ending.
it's supposed to be like he's in hell or he's in some kind of purgatory, some kind of
Sure.
punishment for murdering all these people. And it's
for directing that Elijah Wood wants to be a man.
North.
North.
It's a terrible movie.
Rob
Speaking
Reiner
of
reference.
inappropriate sexual jokes involving children, that movie is full of them. Don't watch that movie; it's really bad.
What, North?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that in the theater.
I
was angry.
I rented it
You
from
were angry?
I was
Blockbuster.
angry at how bad it was.
Well, coming up next week, North. Colin. No such thing as
I'm
a
not
bad
watching
movie.
it
So
again.
many
I'm not watching it
celebrities
again.
in that movie. What else is there
We're
to
talking
say?
about the one before the two hick neighbors get murdered. They're on the dock and it's nighttime, and then so they're like, man, oh, those girls are hot, and they're like, next time we come to the cottage, we have to bring girls.
No,
And
yeah,
so-
because we can bring them and we can go diving.
No, he goes,
No fishing.
yeah, if we brought girls out, we wouldn't be sitting here alone fishing. He goes, yeah, we'd be diving, muff diving.
Great.
Colin just laughed and laughed and laughed, bringing him back to the days down at, I guess, the camp with his Rambo knife, talking to the boys about muff diving.
Oh, Jesus. Well, it was one of the courses we had to take, riflery, archery.
They call each other buttholes a lot, too, which you don't hear very often.
No,
Like,
no.
"Oh,
I
you're
thought
such a
this was like
butthole."
a early 90s, what with all the like radical, type of
Yeah,
but
no.
1987.
Maybe
This
they
is-
were like trendsetters.
Yeah.
This is the year after No Retreat, No Surrender,
Wow.
which kind of shocked
the
me.
year Justin and I were born.
1987.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I know. We're not 60 babies like you, Colin.
I
But
was,
anyway,
I was already going to camp and throwing knives at this point.
Yeah.
that's right. He was
man.
already muff diving.
Oh, Jesus.
But Blood Lake just was released by Bleeding Skull.
Yeah, and AGFA, the America Genre Film Archives. It's available only on DVD because there's no master that exists.
Well,
That's 1080p.
I don't think it needs a Blu-ray release.
1080p master.
Yeah, of Blood Lake. And it's got commentary. It's got a short film the director made, the trailer he made to raise money for this film.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I guess equipment costs money, right? 1987. That's it still costs money. And and a Q&A they did at the Fantastic Festival. So if you want Blood Lake, it's actually really cheap too. It's like $15 on DVD.
But did you guys like the movie Blood Lake?
I don't know. I thought it was like I wouldn't watch it again. Let's say that. But
okay,
like watching
yeah.
it, I was entertained by my vision of what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, like it's entertaining enough.
There's an interview with the director in the book Analog Nightmares that is like so emotional that it almost brought me to tears.
Really?
Of, like how hard this movie was to make.
Oh, we have to talk about the director.
Tim Boggs.
Yeah. So this
about
guy, this is his first and last movie that he ever directed. But then I looked at his credits, and he is like in the sound department.
Yep, that's what he mostly does.
Tons of movies, like still working to this day. He started out in like Hercules, Legendary Journeys, and then he was like the sound co-supervisor on Breaking Bad and like some Mel Gibson movie. I
Okay,
think
so
we
he
were-
tried his hand at directing, and this is the movie that he made, and for some reason it's gained like a huge cult following.
Do you think that like he went, oh my god, the sound is so bad in this movie, I'm going to dedicate my career to doing good sound?
It must be it.
Yeah, dude, because the sound is
It's
little
really
terrible.
bad. Oh, he worked on Lost Highway as well.
Oh wow! What a list of credits. But I would definitely recommend checking out the book Analog Nightmares. I think I've mentioned it before.
You have, yeah.
It's like a history of the shot on video horror movies in chronological order with lots of interviews and reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I didn't like the movie, but I didn't hate it.
How dare you.
I really didn't hate it. It was fine.
Well,
It didn't make me angry.
but
when
No
I was
Retreat,
watching
No
it.
Surrender, I fucking love. Like I love this movie.
I thought it was really entertaining.
It's the second time I've seen it, and the first time I saw it, I really, really liked it, and then I liked it even more. Like I'd watch it again. Like I'd own it.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking
I
of
would too.
which,
April's laying it on thick because I don't like No Retreat, No Surrender, which
Yeah,
is
whatever.
crazy because like this is a movie for me. I like No Retreat, No Surrender 3 a lot.
I like that a lot.
me too.
more.
So on Amazon, at least in Canada, you can buy like a box set of all three for like $50.
Yeah, there was
which sounds like a lot.
There was a special edition of the first one that came out. I don't think that there was any special editions of the second and third one, but I may be mistaken if there's a box set you said on Amazon.
Yeah, and I couldn't really find much as far as like digital distribution of this movie. It's on the whole thing's on YouTube.
Which you should not watch because
yeah.
it's
Don't ever
available on
watch.
Blu-ray.
in 1080. Is it available on Blu-ray?
Yeah, on a special edition. It just came out a few months
As I
ago.
said, I did a quick search the other day and I didn't see it, but I guess I didn't really do a deep dive. But if you love
A deep muff dive.
Yeah, you didn't muff dive.
if you love Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's in two really cool scenes, and the scene at the end is really long. Like there's a lot of action.
Wait, is muff the pubic hair or is it the actual?
I just don't. I
don't
know.
If anybody would know, Colin would know.
I think it's the whole shebang.
The whole crab and lobsters.
Whole area.
Jesus.
Lobsters. Anyway, if you'd like to email the podcast, you can email us at nosuchthingasabadmovie@gmail.com, and you can send us your questions, comments, or movie recommendations. And if you want to, you can donate to the Patreon at patreon.com/nosuchthingasabadmovie. At the $2 level, you can enter into the lottery where you can pick a movie for us to do, which we will be having one in May. So get in on that level and be part of the draw. And if you want to be on the $5 level, you get that and bonus episodes, which will be released every 2 weeks. And the next episode that's coming out, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I will give you a hint. It may be my least favorite movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, Mechagodzilla is in it.
No.
It made me probably angrier than any movie I've ever seen.
She was very, very angry.
She was angry?
So see if you can figure out what it is.
Because you said that you didn't want to finish it until I'm like, let's do it for the Patreon. And you're like,
Reluctantly, yeah. I needed a closure.
And, I'm a very soft-hearted person. I like to find the good in a lot of things. I don't generally have, like, vitriolic hate for things. Really hated this movie.
No, she was yelling like, "I hate this movie."
So you're going to have to tune in to the Patreon to find
I don't
out.
remember if you were that angry on when we recorded. Did I pass out? Like, your anger just made me like slump.
No, I was angry when I watched it. And if you want to tweet at me, I'm...
Wow, Moonlight. I can't believe you thought that about Moonlight.
Oh, no, I love Moonlight. If you want to tweet at the podcast, we're at No Such Thing Pod. Give us a follow. Also, rate and review us on iTunes if you have time. And my Twitter is at April Atmansky.
You can follow me on Twitter. It's DeClouJ, DECLOUX, and the letter J. I'm on Letterboxd at Justin DeClue, same spelling of my last name. And you can also listen to me every week on the Important Cinema Club, and that's just importantcinemaclub.com.
Just did an episode about Pauly Shore. Check that out.
Yeah, it made me very sad.
and you can follow me on Twitter as Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA. And I think on Instagram it's Sergeant Zim, SGTZIM.
Well, I guess that'll do us for this week. I'm April Atmansky.
My name's Justin Leadfist DeClue.
And I'm Colin Sugarfoot Cunningham.
And remember, there's no such thing as a bad movie.